You want to know the moment men finally wake up? It's the moment they look at the modern dating world and realize something terrifying. Women today are not the women their fathers or grandfathers married. Not even close. And pretending otherwise is why so many men feel like they're losing their minds. What you're about to understand will change how you look at every conversation, every argument, every expectation, every date, every relationship. Because modern women aren't just different, they've been rewired. And the craziest part, most men haven't updated their system. They're still running emotional software from 1950, while women have fully migrated to a new operating system where entitlement is a feature, accountability is a bug, and self-awareness was deleted from the hard drive entirely. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Start with something simple. Ask a modern woman to do one basic adult task, something your grandmother could do half asleep with a baby on her hip. Tell her, make a simple meal from scratch. Chicken, rice, vegetables. No phone, no Google. Watch what happens. Panic, confusion, eyes wide like you asked her to pilot a helicopter. I don't know how. That's not my thing. Why would I do that when we can just order food? But ask that same woman what she wants in a man. 6 feet tall, 6-figure income, ambitious, emotionally mature, confident, protective, patient, funny, driven, masculine, vulnerable but not too vulnerable, traditional but not controlling, modern but not soft, caring but not clingy, strong but not intimidating. She can't boil water, but expects you to be a hybrid of her father, therapist, chef, bodyguard, financial advisor, personal trainer, and motivational speaker. And men are just now starting to admit, this isn't normal. This is delusion. I counseled a man recently, a successful business owner, extremely disciplined, ambitious, a man any previous generation of women would have appreciated deeply. But his girlfriend? She couldn't cook, wouldn't clean, didn't work, didn't contribute, didn't support, didn't nurture. But she had a full list of emotional needs he wasn't meeting. She brought nothing to the table, except complaints about the table. When he finally told her calmly, "You don't contribute anything," she called him toxic, sexist, and old-fashioned. This is the new reality. Women want traditional men, while refusing to be traditional women. They want the benefits of the past with the privileges of the present and accountability from neither. Let me give you another example, one that sums up everything happening right now. A man showed me his ex's dating profile after they broke up. Her requirements were over 6'2", makes $150K plus, owns property, no kids, emotionally available, willing to travel, ambitious, healthy, and fit. Her offerings? Good vibes and sarcasm.
This woman, 35 years old, 2 kids with 2 different fathers, in debt, no skills, no domestic ability, no emotional stability. Yet somehow she believed she was the prize. This isn't confidence. This isn't feminism. This is programming. Industrial-level, society-wide delusion. Men didn't change. Standards didn't change. Reality didn't change. But women's self-perception? It's gone off a cliff. And here's where things get truly dangerous. Men still think they're dealing with women who want partnership. But modern women have been trained to want attention, not commitment, validation, not loyalty, benefits, not responsibility. And instead of society calling this out, society rewards it. Every TikTok, every influencer, every self-love coach is screaming, "You're a queen, you deserve the world, never settle, men should chase you, your standards should be sky high." Meanwhile, cooking is oppression, cleaning is patriarchy. Being pleasant is pick-me behavior. Being supportive is outdated. Providing value is optional. Contributing to a relationship is not her job. But expecting you to work, pay, initiate, lead, fix, plan, solve, support, protect, provide, entertain, and emotionally regulate her? That's just knowing her worth. Modern women have been raised on a diet of endless praise, zero accountability, and constant comparison to unrealistic lifestyles online. And the result is a generation of women who genuinely believe existence equals value. They don't have to be exceptional, they just have to feel like they are. They don't have to contribute, they just have to demand. They don't have to offer anything, they just have to list what they expect. Men are waking up to this. Not bitter, not angry, just awake. Awake to the fact that the rules changed without telling them. Awake to the fact that the women they were raised to respect no longer exist in significant numbers. Awake to the fact that relationships aren't partnerships anymore. They're subscription services where men pay and women enjoy. And that's where the modern story begins.
Men are starting to notice something that used to be unthinkable to even say out loud. The average woman today expects more than any generation before her, while bringing less to the table than any generation before her. And if you dare to say that out loud, you're misogynistic, hurt, bitter, can't handle a strong woman. But watch what actually happens in real life. Take a simple relationship test. Don't argue, don't complain, don't judge. Just observe. Ask her what she expects from a man. She'll have a full list instantly. He should lead, he should provide, he should protect. He should be emotionally available. He should plan dates. He should be ambitious, confident, funny, decisive. He should support her dreams. He should be loyal, faithful, romantic. Now, ask her this, calmly. What do you believe a man has the right to expect from you in return? Watch the hesitation. Suddenly, the list gets very short. Support, love, loyalty, good energy, very vague, very abstract, very hard to measure. No mention of discipline, no mention of skills, no mention of actual responsibility. Because modern programming didn't teach her to be a partner. It taught her to be an experience. I worked with a man who had quietly fallen into this trap without realizing it. He woke up every day at 6 a.m., worked 10, sometimes 12 hours, paid every bill, fixed everything broken, planned every trip, handled every crisis. His girlfriend? She stayed home, didn't work, didn't cook, didn't clean. DoorDash for dinner, laundry piled up, dishes in the sink, house perpetually chaotic. But emotionally, she was always ready with feedback. You're not present enough. You don't make me feel special. You don't give me enough quality time. One day, exhausted, he asked her, "What exactly do you do in this relationship?" She looked offended and said, "I exist. I'm your girlfriend. That should be enough." That's the level of conditioning we're dealing with. Existing is seen as a contribution. Everything she does is extra. Everything he does is expected. This is where a lot of men make their biggest mistake. They slowly start doing everything themselves. Not because they want to,
because it's easier than fighting. He cooks because asking her to learn starts a huge argument. He cleans because she's already stressed. He manages the bills because she doesn't like numbers. He plans the future because she gets anxious talking about it. At first, he tells himself, "It's fine. I'm strong. I can handle it." 5 years later, he's not just a partner. He's a provider, housekeeper, project manager, emotional sponge, and full-time problem solver. And she's become someone who literally cannot function without him. He didn't build a partnership. He accidentally created a dependent adult who thinks contribution is oppression. When he finally reaches his breaking point and says, "I need you to step up," what does she say? "You're controlling? You're trying to change me? You're acting like my father." No. He's acting like the only adult in the room. Modern culture has fed women a very specific story.
Anything expected of them equals patriarchy. Anything expected of you equals bare minimum. Ask her to cook, you're sexist. Ask her to keep the place you both live in somewhat clean, you're oppressive. Ask her to contribute financially, you're not a real man. Meanwhile, you're expected to pay. You're expected to initiate. You're expected to protect. You're expected to absorb emotional storms. You're expected to apologize first. You're expected to fix what she breaks, emotionally, financially, socially. And if you fall short in any of those areas, suddenly your entire character is on trial. The emotional side of this is even more brutal. Older generations of women understood something critical. Feelings are real, but they are not always accurate. You could say, "I understand you feel hurt, but that's not what happened." You could talk through it. You could get to the truth. Now, her feelings are the truth. If she feels disrespected, you disrespected her. If she feels abandoned, you abandoned her. If she feels unsafe, you are dangerous. You can show evidence, context, facts. It doesn't matter. Reality has been replaced by emotional perception. So you end up in endless conversations where you're not allowed to talk about what actually happened, only how she felt about what she decided happened. It's a debate you can never win because it's not a debate, it's a confession booth. I watched a couple at a restaurant that perfectly captured this dynamic. She was scrolling on her phone, annoyed. He was quiet, staring at the table. After a few minutes, she snapped, "Why are you so quiet? Are you mad at me?" He shook his head. "No, I'm just tired." "Tired of what, me?" She pushed. He sighed. "You were upset with me in the car. I'm just trying not to make it worse." She immediately went off. "So now you're blaming me for your mood? This is what I mean. You're emotionally distant. I can't feel your presence. You're never really here with me." Pause the scene. She created conflict. He shut down to avoid escalating it. Then she blamed him for the silence his self-defense created. Conflict, withdrawal, blame, repeat. To her, it's just how she feels. To him, it's a cycle he can't escape without being the villain. How long do you think a man can live like that before he starts to emotionally check out? Men are beginning to realize something life-changing. It's not that women changed a little. It's that the entire operating system of relationships has been rewritten. Before, relationships were built on mutual contribution. He protected, provided, and led. She nurtured, supported, and built the home. Were those roles perfect?
No, but they were complementary. Now the script is completely different. He's still expected to do his job, but her job has been rebranded as oppression. She wants the benefits of traditional men with the lifestyle of a modern independent woman and the responsibility of a child. And when you point this out, you hate women. You're stuck in the past. You're intimidated by strong women. No, men aren't intimidated. They're disappointed. They grew up hearing stories about their grandmothers, women who could run a household, raise kids, manage money, hold a family together under insane pressure. Then they look around and see women who think heating up Uber Eats in the microwave is cooking and sitting on the couch is self-care. The quality dropped, the demands skyrocketed, and men are the ones gaslit for noticing. That's why more and more men are quietly recalibrating. Some lower their expectations so far that they start dating women who bring almost nothing to the table just to avoid being alone. Some stay single and pour their energy into money, fitness, freedom, and peace. Some go numb inside their relationships, playing the role, smiling on the outside, dying on the inside. But all of them are feeling the same thing. Modern women are not what they used to be. And pretending otherwise is killing men from the inside out. That's the wake-up call. Not hatred, not bitterness, just awareness. And once a man truly becomes aware of this gap between what's expected of him and what's offered in return, the way he sees relationships will never be the same again.
Men today are beginning to see something their fathers never had to face. The emotional landscape of modern relationships has shifted so dramatically, it barely resembles what once existed. And the craziest part? Most men can feel the change long before they can explain it. It starts subtly, with patterns that seem harmless at first. She gets irritated over something small. She misinterprets your tone. She takes a normal conversation and twists it into a crisis. You rationalize it. You tell yourself she's stressed, tired, overwhelmed. You try to fix it because that's what men were raised to do. But then it happens again, and again, and again. Until one day you realize you're not solving problems anymore. You're managing someone's emotional weather. I talked to a man recently who described it perfectly. He said living with his girlfriend felt like living inside a storm system where the forecast changed every hour. If he was cheerful, she thought he was hiding something. If he was quiet, she thought he was angry. If he was focused on work, she thought she wasn't a priority. No matter what he did, her interpretation was always more powerful than his intention. And that's the new battlefield men are stuck on. Your intentions don't matter. Only her interpretations do. If she feels you disrespected her, it becomes the truth. If she feels you are distant, it becomes a pattern. If she feels insecure, it becomes your responsibility. Feelings have replaced facts. Perception has replaced reality. Emotion has replaced accountability. And men are finally starting to understand the cost of this shift. Another man told me something even more revealing. He said the woman he dated seemed perfect at the beginning. Sweet, soft, feminine, affectionate. But as soon as she realized he was dependable, everything changed. The effort stopped. The affection faded. The support disappeared. The only thing that increased was criticism. He was doing more than ever, working longer hours, planning their future, helping her through every meltdown,
yet somehow she insisted he wasn't doing enough. That's when it hit him. She wasn't looking for a partner, she was looking for a man to carry the entire relationship while she coasted. And that's exactly what so many men are waking up to. The expectation that men should give everything while receiving almost nothing in return. Not nothing physically, nothing emotionally, nothing reciprocated. A relationship where the man is the engine, the fuel, and the driver, while she sits in the passenger seat critiquing the route. But here's where it all gets even darker, and where men finally snap awake. Modern culture has trained women to believe that effort from them is optional. Contribution is optional. Accountability is optional. But your contribution? Mandatory. Guaranteed. Non-negotiable. You forget an anniversary? Major offense. You express frustration respectfully? You're emotionally abusive. But she can withdraw affection for days? She can throw emotional grenades? She can criticize you endlessly, and somehow it's still your fault for not understanding her needs. Men are starting to realize they're not in relationships, they're in emotional negotiations where they're always expected to concede. Here's what no one wants to admit. Men aren't walking away because they're afraid of strong women. They're walking away because they're tired of surrounding by women who are strong in all the wrong ways. Strong when it comes to entitlement. Strong when it comes to demands. Strong when it comes to emotional volatility. But weak when it comes to gratitude. Weak in loyalty. Weak in accountability. Weak in reciprocity. And men see it. Even if they don't say it out loud, they feel it in their bones. They feel it when they come home from work exhausted and still have to walk on emotional eggshells. They feel it when discussions turn into interrogations. They feel it when every problem somehow becomes evidence of their failures. And eventually, every man reaches the same quiet, devastating realization. I'm giving everything, and she's giving almost nothing except demands. That's the moment he stops trying so hard. Not because he doesn't care, but because caring is killing him. But here's the twist, the part most people never talk about. When a man finally steps back and sees the modern dating landscape without the illusions, he doesn't become bitter. He becomes clear. Clear about what's real. Clear about what's missing. Clear about the kind of woman he can no longer waste his life on. He sees that modern relationships aren't failing because men changed. They're failing because women changed, in expectations, in behavior, in capability, in accountability. Men didn't lower the standard collapsed. And once a man realizes that, he stops chasing illusions. He stops apologizing for noticing the truth. He stops giving energy to people who only take. Modern women aren't what they used to be, and men, finally, are done pretending otherwise.
Here's the part nobody wants to confront. The part that modern culture works overtime to hide. The women your grandfather built a life with are gone. Not because men changed, not because society evolved naturally, but because the system deliberately rewired an entire generation of women to abandon every trait that once made relationships stable, supportive, and reciprocal. Women were told that cooking was oppression, that caring was weakness, that contributing was degrading, that accountability was abuse, that men should provide while they simply deserve. So what happens? Men carry the entire load, women carry entitlement, and relationships collapse under the weight of one-sided expectation. But instead of fixing the behavior, society gaslights the men who notice it. You're toxic. You're insecure. You're intimidated by strong women. No. Men aren't intimidated. They're tired. They're done. They're awake. I recently sat with a man who told me something haunting. He said, "Every generation of men before me had partners. My generation has critics." Think about that. Your grandfather built a home with a woman who saw herself as part of a team. Your father had a partner who contributed something real. But you're expected to build an entire life around someone who thinks her presence alone is value. And if you ask for effort, support, warmth, or reciprocity, she calls it oppression. This is the new equation. Men must be everything. Women must be felt as everything. That's not equality. That's exploitation. And men are finally saying out loud what they've whispered for years. Something is deeply wrong with this. I watched a young man break down in frustration as he explained his last relationship. He said his girlfriend made no effort. None. Yet constantly complained she wasn't being adored enough. When he asked what she could contribute to make things better, she told him, "I shouldn't have to contribute. If you loved me, you'd step up." Step up. He was already carrying the entire relationship. She wanted love without loyalty, comfort without sacrifice, security without responsibility. She wanted benefits she never earned and still believed she was the prize. That's the new reality countless men face. A generation of women who mistake demand for value, maturity for oppression, and self-centeredness for strength. And here's the truth that stings the most. Most modern women want everything a traditional man provides, while refusing to offer anything a traditional woman gave. The contract is broken, yet men are still expected to pay full price. So what options do men have? Lower their standards until they accept disrespect as normal? Raise their standards and get called unrealistic? Stay alone and get labeled antisocial? Every path is rigged, except one. Waking up. Seeing reality without filters. Refusing to be manipulated by guilt, shame, or cultural pressure. Choosing peace over chaos, standards over desperation, and self-respect over validation. Because here's the final truth, the truth you felt but never said. Modern women aren't what they used to be, and pretending they are will destroy you. But accepting reality, that will save you. It won't make dating easier. It won't magically fix the modern relationship market. It won't turn dysfunctional women into good partners. But it will do one thing that changes a man's entire trajectory. It will give you clarity. Clarity to walk away when something feels off. Clarity to protect your time, money, effort, loyalty. Clarity to recognize value instead of fantasy. Clarity to stop apologizing for wanting reciprocity. And once a man truly wakes up, not angrily, not bitterly, but clearly, he becomes someone modern entitlement can no longer manipulate. That's the awakening happening right now. Men aren't becoming cold, they're becoming conscious. Men aren't giving up on love, they're giving up on illusions. Men aren't rejecting women,
They're rejecting the programming that ruined them.